Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is TWitWoW in review. Again, another interesting week in the world of wrestling. WWE sales discussion continues. It exploded on Twitter because everybody thought that a Saudi sale had happened. It had not. So we might talk about that to start the show. Rumble is on the horizon. I have been thinking more and more about that pay-per-view in the passing days, given that Ash and I are now past Dream Queendom 2 and Wrestle Kingdom 17. And yeah, the world just keeps spinning, my man. AEW had some interesting stuff this week. Mainly Adam Cole finally returning. Good for him. I'm sure we'll talk about that. And the Bloodline plot continues to thicken. So, my friend, how did you feel about this week in the world of wrestling?
Um, Truthfully, I think that the whole talks of Vince strong arming his way back into the company, and then the immediate news, allegedly, of him pretty much immediately selling to the Saudi Arabia Public Trust Fund or whatever the hell it was, burned me the fuck out and made me really just want to not think about wrestling for a little while there. And then, actual credible news sources started saying that it wasn't true, and that kind of chilled me out a little bit. But because of that, I pretty much have no recollection of what happened on Raw or, well, I didn't watch NXT, but, really just no recollection of what happened on Raw this week. And, as you know, I don't pay attention to NXT, so that's not really a thing either. I will say I did enjoy most of Dynamite, but not all of it. And then
Yeah.
yeah, SmackDown was solid, and obviously our week was very full of Stardom. We covered Stardom shows on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and yesterday, and that was just plain wonderful. I fucking love Stardom, and really the higher percentage of my wrestling experience in any given week that's taken up by Stardom, the better quality that wrestling week is for me.
Yeah. I would certainly agree with that sentiment. So we begin. I mean, hell, since we always say like talk about subjects passionate about or this and that. I will say on the Vince stuff, not to dwell on this too much because I don't want to negatively impact your mood, but I did find it interesting because in our personal Discord, which everybody can be a part of for $3 a month if you look in the description box below, I shared an article from Axios that I do think is credible because I know that they've done like a lot of political stuff, especially the 2020 election and 2016 one before that. They've got politicians in the hot seat like Ted Cruz and all that. It seems like a good network. Seems like a good organization. So they did kind of a primer of the sale, kind of a breakdown for anybody looking to orient themselves in the chaos. And the one thing that caught my mind, now you and I already talked about this one part, that the stock price actually did go up with Vince returning, which admittedly surprised me. But the big thing that caught my mind was that Triple H and Stephanie had opposed a sale. And that makes a lot more sense now why Stephanie would resign in the wake of all this, regardless of who the sale goes to. So for one thing, I know there was one Twitter user, I kind of chuckled at this. It said it's amazing that it wasn't the kids that killed the family business, but Vince. Like you'd think Vince would bequeath it to his kids, and then Shane or Stephanie would do something like this. It's actually the other way around. The other thing, though, that's more newsworthy is I even have to wonder if this sale is going to happen because it seems to be happening under illegal and unethical pretenses. We know that he's got a lawsuit coming out of Delaware from one of the shareholders saying that Vince went about this completely against, I guess, the bylaws of the company and I guess, in a manner of speaking, the constitution of WWE on the corporate level. And yeah, I mean, appointing his own board members, forcing his way in, it almost seemed like a hostage takeover. And so I even have to wonder if any sale would be, ratified by any court or sanctioned by any court, given the pretenses by which, it all precipitated. So, I mean, knowing that he's now dealing with a lawsuit, knowing that not only was the sale internally opposed, when they did a vote on his return, it was unanimously rejected. So even Stephanie and Triple H voted against him coming back. So given all this information, do you even think a sale is going to happen, given that Vince just going about it this way has completely imploded its credibility in my mind?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. This is one of those things where this is like when it comes to trying to predict how wrestling booking goes, I feel a lot more in touch than trying to predict business decisions. I have no fucking clue what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and that's certainly understandable. It's just very interesting to me that it's all kind of fallen apart this way. Not too surprising, I guess, in the grand scheme, but you think if Vince really wanted to stick it to him, he would have gone about this a bit of a better way. But that's the only big thing there on that front. I know in like a couple months, I'd say by first quarter, end of first quarter 2023, we will definitely probably get something bigger about that. But when it comes to wrestling this week, I mean, you said we did a lot of Stardom. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about that a little bit. I mean, Maya Yukihi has already been making a splash in the Triangle Derby. I think she's already gaining a lot of new fans. I definitely feel like even with the Ice Ribbon coverage we did on TWitWoW Patreon requests, again, something everybody can kind of take part in if you go in the description box, look at our Patreon below, that I was becoming a fan of hers then, but seeing the work in Stardom and just how she owns the ring and kind of owns Julia psychologically, I'm really enjoying that. How long before you think that they're going to do their title match? Because we know it's Julia Suzu February 4th. You think maybe this summer Julia will defend it, maybe before the 5-star against Maya, or do you think they're going to try and drag that out? Seems like a pretty big deal.
Because we're doing the Suzu match this quickly, I think that the Julia Maya match might actually be maybe not the main event, but probably the world title match of the big April 23rd Yokohama Arena show that Mercedes is supposed to be on.
Yes, Mercedes. I'll tell you, there's been a lot of talk about her too, and the Stardom dates that she'll work. I can tell you, dude.
Singular.
Just one Stardom date, so I guess it's more New Japan Day. I guess that makes sense. But yeah, it's funny, man, because because I know this was a while back, and we try and keep it to this week in the world of wrestling. But when her debut at Wrestle Kingdom 17 happened, I know there were a lot of diehard Joshi fans on my section of wrestling Twitter that just really didn't like it. I think they would have been far more receptive to it if Kairi and Tam got more time. But I think the match being as short as it was and then overshadowed by Mercedes, which even if it was a 20, 25-minute match, it probably was going to be overshadowed by her regardless because everybody's been talking about her. But it didn't help that the match was so short. So I don't think it helps Mercedes kind of ingratiate herself to this audience, which, and not even be ingratiated in a good way because she's the heel. It just seems no, we don't want her at all. And then you and I have already talked about, the whole AZM and just the whole press conference thing, thinking that Miyu Yamashita was in Stardom or New Japan. She's not. She's with TJPW, another company you guys should check out if you haven't. I really have been liking their work lately, and that's coming from me, and I've openly said on past streams that they're kind of mad to me. I definitely think they're really getting good. The cylinders are kind of burning hot. So yeah, I mean, Mercedes Kyrie Battle of the Valley. Hopefully that's a great matchup. Do you think Mercedes is just going to win the title, and how do you think that'll go for them?
Here's my thing. Meltzer is reporting that he thinks that she's going to win the title, but Meltzer doesn't fucking know anything about Joshi at all. Meltzer doesn't know jack shit. Going by what we know, knowing that Rossi is the one booking who actually has the title, who wins the matches, he's the one actually in control of basically wins and losses and who holds the title and how long they hold it and shit. And then Geto is the one that gets to control the card of the New Japan shows and, where the women's match is on the card and how long it gets. And that's why the women only got 10 minutes, including entrances at Wrestle Kingdom. Knowing all that and knowing that Kidani, specifically the guy that runs Bushi Road, is the reason that the IWGP Women's Championship exists, I don't think it makes sense for Mercedes to win the title. I think it would make all the sense in the world for her to stick around, have a few matches where she's featured. I think that the quote-unquote correct booking decision for the match between her and Kairi at Battle in the Valley is a time limit draw. 30 minutes, you get a hell of a banger match out of it. We're going to be fucking 18 minutes in, and people who aren't used to Stardom matches are going to be like, holy shit, this match is incredible. And it's going to keep going, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to blow people's fucking minds. And then the bell's going to ring, and people are going to be like, what the fuck just happened? And it's going to be like, holy shit, I didn't know that was even possible. And in my mind, that's the correct decision, because here's why I don't think that other possibilities are good decisions. If you just put the title on Mercedes, in my opinion, that makes Kairi look bad. And Kairi has been like this big deal final boss for the Stardom roster for the last year now. So in return, you're also making the rest of the Stardom roster look bad. You're making Starlight Kid look bad. You're making Mayu look bad. You're making Utami look bad. You're making almost the entire roster look bad. If you just have this random person, well, I shouldn't say random. If you just have this person from another company across the pond come over and immediately win your top title, and it is arguably the top title right now, because let's not forget, Kairi beat Utami recently. Utami's beaten Shuri. Like, there's a lot of evidence pointing to Kairi being the top champion right now. It's either Kairi or Julia. And you have Mercedes come in and immediately win that world title in her first try. That makes Kairi look bad. It makes everyone in Stardom look bad. And in a way, by doing that, you're making people less invested in seeing the rest of the roster. Because you're like, oh, well, if, Kairi was their champion and Mercedes beat her in her first try, then obviously Kairi had to win that title by beating whoever the next best person on the roster is. So their roster must not be that impressive. So in my mind, you have Kairi go toe-to-toe with Sasha or with Mercedes. You have them go to a TLD. And you have them basically prove that Kairi is just as tough and much of a badass as Mercedes in the ring. And by doing that, you are lending a fuck ton of credibility to Kairi, while also building up Mercedes as like, okay, yeah, she can hang, for the Joshi fans, she can hang with the Joshis as well. And I just think everyone benefits in that situation. Plus, then you're not putting the title on someone that isn't signed to a Bushiroad contract. So I think that there are only negatives that can come out of putting the title on her. And the when you do a TLD, it makes everyone look better in this case.
Like I said last time when you had kind of a discussion breaking all your viewpoints down, when everything is said so perfectly, there's really no point in adding anything, so I'm just going to leave that there.
Yeah, I think my whole thing is, I think that she, because from what I understand, she's going to appear on one other New Japan show after the New Japan Cup ends, so like late March-ish. And then she's going to be on the one Stardom show at the Yokohama Arena on April 23rd. And those right now, plus Battle in the Valley, are the only appearances that she is contracted to right now, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So, like, you're really going to put the title on her, have her successfully defend it once, and then immediately drop it in her second defense. That just feels like you're hot-shotting the title for no reason. Whereas if she's already going to be on the shows, you could then spotlight the IWGP Women's title in another match on top of having a Mercedes Moné match on the show as like a special attraction match. Then you get 2 Stardom matches, or at least 2 Joshi matches on the show. And I say that because you never know, one of those might end up being a special attraction match, Sasha or Mercedes Moné versus Miyu Yamashita, who isn't even in fucking Stardom. But that's one of the names that she called out as wanting to wrestle. And then, you bring more eyes to potentially the Stardom product, which I'm pretty sure is what Bushiroad is wanting to do here. Like, you don't bring in a Mercedes Moné if you're not trying to drive subscriptions. Like, you have the streaming service, you sign somebody to bring in more eyes to your product, and you do that by having people see, oh, she signed here, I gotta go watch that, and then they see other things that they can get hooked onto that keep them around even when she's not around anymore. So, like, you want people to be exposed to as much good Stardom shit as possible, kind of brushing shoulders with Mercedes as possible, so that they can, get the taste and get hooked. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think so. I mean, that's relatively straightforward in my mind.
So, yeah, like, I would say the best thing that they could possibly do is have Kairi defend the IWGP title against someone else, maybe even like an Utami, on that other New Japan show, while Mercedes has her Azumi match that we know she wants, right? Or her AZM match, as she said.
Yeah. Right? I really hope Azumi throws that back in her face.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you build to the Yokohama Arena show, Utami defending the IWGP Women's title against Mercedes, and that's like the big blow off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that.
So then maybe I mean, maybe she decides to sign on for more dates. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to sign on for more dates and she wants to sign for a few TJPW dates so she can work with the Miyu that she named in her press conference. Because the only Miyu that we've got in Stardom is a fucking rookie that you probably don't even fucking couldn't pick her out of a crowd if I had to guess. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I really don't know what the direction's going to be. But if I was the one making the decisions, based on just the surface level information that we have, the bare bones, what we have been told basically by wrestling reporters, which we know is garbage, but working with the very low level information that we have, knowing basically that Mercedes is signed on for Battle in the Valley, one big New Japan show after New Japan Cup, and the Yokohama Arena Stardom pay-per-view at the end of April, knowing that she wants to work with Azumi, knowing that the IWGP Women's title is on the line at Battle in the Valley, that's how I would book her. I would say she goes to a TLD with Kairi at Battle in the Valley. Kairi defends the title and maybe even drops the title at that late March New Japan pay-per-view. That we would also have Mercedes on in her Azumi match that we know she wants. And then if Kairi would drop that title on that show, we would have Mercedes challenge the new champion, and that would be the match that she would do at the big Stardom show at the Yokohama Arena in April. So that's like the path that I have laid out. I don't know what they're actually going to do in the real world, but whatever they're going to do, they need to not waste it, because if she's only going to be here for 3 shows, they need to, like what JR used to say, maximize your minutes. Well, maximize your minutes with this star that you have that's clearly drawing interest in your company. Make the most out of it,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, really nothing to add. I think you expounded everything perfectly. The only other Stardom bit I would like to discuss, and I'm quite excited for it, is Naniwa Roulette. I like that Mayu's coming up with another match here to kind of get rich quick. Except it's not in yen this time. It's in championship opportunities. So it seems like a single elimination tournament style matchup. A bunch of competitors having 5-minute matches with each other.
Yep.
And pinfall, submission, or over the top rope elimination applies. Winner gets a title shot of their choosing. Now we know, just to give an example that like any title could be challenged for, Kogo mentioned the Goddess's belts with Mayu. She also mentioned the High Speed Championship, another match with Azumi. Mina obviously wants the white belt. And Tekla, just to show the diversity of this, Tekla has mentioned she would like the SWA title back. So, very interesting. Now, of course, there is an X in this matchup. I always get excited by a mystery participant. Even though, admittedly, with Stardom, I can't really say I've ever really been surprised by an X in a matchup.
Basically, if you don't already have a really strong indicator as to who the mystery person is going to be going into the show, expect to be disappointed.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I mean, I like that Stardom's introducing match concepts. I like that Shearing's going to be coming back on the February 4th show. I still want streamers back. I know you miss streamers. And I'll tell you, I still want these women to get more promo time somehow, because I think if you're really in the weeds of Stardom, which we are, somebody like, Galatea is, because she's always great about women's wrestling, Javaris is, the press conferences are great. And the press conferences, you really can see the promo range of these women, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is not a single press conference that doesn't have at least one segment that really is like absurdist in its character, whether it's tomatoes getting shoved in a woman's mouth, high-speed competitions, stuff like that. I love how zany these press conferences can get. But if you're still casual or starting out Stardom, you don't know like how much content you have to connect to. And so I still hope that with all this kind of stuff that Stardom's doing, introducing new match types, cheering again with the crowds, all that stuff, that we could still find a way to do that. But yeah, I'm excited for this roulette. Tentatively, I'm picking Mina to win this right now. This way, it kind of solidifies her status as challenging for the Wonder of Stardom title. And I also said that because the only other big story in Stardom does involve Mina, that Tam Nakano kind of anniversary show or hometown show, is more of a hometown show.
Her homecoming, yes.
That she had recently. And Mina just piecing the fuck out, doing the bare minimum Cosmic Angels kind of reunion thing, pose, everything, and then just noped out. honestly, if you're a fan of Joshi, I think Mina's story and Yuka Sakazaki just being a bully and a menace are probably the best storylines going on in Joshi for me right now that I'm really enjoying. Well, that and Kamitani's reign as well. I think those are the top 3 stories. But I'm really, really enjoying what Mina's doing. So I guess for you, I don't know if you have anything new to say about the Mina stuff, because I've been thinking about that ever since we got done that recording yesterday. But
Yeah, I
you have
can
any
tell.
early
Mina
picks for?
Shirakawa just lives rent free in your head right now, and I kind of love that for you.
Absolutely, man. She's doing amazing work. I'm telling you. Like, I used to like fear for people like Mina because it seems like a culture in Joshi, particularly Stardom. And yeah, Javaris, I know it's fucking wild, dude. But I used to fear for Mina in a place like Stardom because it seems like they really are so youth focused, which I completely get. Like, if anything, I wish more wrestling companies would do that. We've complained about that in the past. So I'm not about to be a hypocrite and be like, you need to stop being, reverse ageist or whatever, and like, none of that bullshit. But it really does show that if you're good at what you do, and provided your style is safe enough, you can keep this fucking gravy train going as long as you want. Like Mina, we know she already does the modeling, but goddamn, like wrestling wasn't a plan B. It was fucking it for her. Like she's like, I'm doing this shit. So I really admire that even, with her being in her mid-30s and stuff like that, in a culture that seems to really emphasize youth and stuff, she's not working all these motherfuckers. She's like, I'm getting paid. So I'm really happy for her. But yeah, I guess my big question for you then is just if you have any early predictions for Naniwa Roulette. And
I do. Before I say that, though, I just want to address the Mina thing. I love that she brought in 2 actual young women, 24-year-old girls, in their fucking physical primes, and every match she is consistently out wrestling them.
Yeah.
It's so great
absolutely.
to see. She's like, girls, come on, keep up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling now. Again, you know that I've been nothing but lavish in my praise of her and everything. Kamitani is the future, and she's a goddamn phenom. But I am feeling like 2% smug asshole, just thinking, man, I can't wait to see Mina blow her up again. Unless Kamitani's improved her conditioning since then. I don't know. Maybe after that first match, she's like, damn, I can't have that happen again. I gotta up my cardio or whatever. But and that's the thing too. To their credit, this long form story they're telling that she is not using the Phoenix Splash because of what happened to Mina.
Yep.
That's like some Osprey Havoc shit with the 630.
Yep.
Except, we don't have to feel as bad about it because neither one's a piece of shit. Oh, there you go. But yeah, so who is your pick then? Because you did want to address the Mina thing, but then you did say that you had an early pick. So who do you got, and how do you feel like it's going to be? You think it's going to be a part of a bigger story? Do you think it's just going to be a one-off title match? Just give all your thoughts.
So I didn't say necessarily that I had an early pick. I just said that I had an early take. And that is that I could actually see Stardom using the Naniwa Roulette as a way to name the next contender for the IWGP Women's Championship after Kairi and Mercedes in Battle in the Valley happens.
Interesting. Okay.
Because the whole point is like, oh, you can choose what title you go after. Well, everyone's been talking about the world title, the wonder title, the high speed title, the goddesses, the artist, whatever. What no one has mentioned is the IWGP Women's title. So I think that because it's the one title that isn't being mentioned in the talk building up to the match, it's going to be the title that ends up getting chosen as the title that the winner of the match wants to go after.
An interesting time for Stardom, isn't it? Because I can see why you'd say that, but that to me is part of a broader discussion. And I know we somewhat broached this. We might have even broached it at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know. But where we're like, oh, the IWGP Women's Championship, like that's the big deal title now. Because when you look at who's holding it, like Kairi, and you look at her history in the context of Joshi, it's a big freaking deal. But at the same time that Julia, who I think her stock has always been white hot, she's the World of Stardom champion. It's like, you really couldn't have 2 better representatives, I think, for your championships right now.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if maybe that's kind of bad in a way for Julia. Like, I wonder if she's going to be overshadowed by the booking of the IWGP Women's Championship at all. Just with, like, even people in Stardom wanting to go after it as opposed to the red belt. So I wonder how they're going to kind of balance that.
Yeah.
But
anyway, so yeah, basically that's my way of saying I think that the winner of the roulette is going to be either Mayu herself, who has, she was in the finals of the tournament to determine the first IWGP Women's Champion, and then lost to Kairi, or X, and then X will be like some like potential big name Joshi girl. How fucking hilarious would it be if Miyu Yamashita showed up in Stardom this one time, won Naniwa Roulette, challenged Mercedes for the IWGP Women's title, lost to her, and then never showed up in Stardom again?
That would be hilarious, but you've got a far greater imagination than me, because I'm already thinking X might be Unagi or some shit.
It might be. Dude, you're 100% not in the wrong there. It perfectly, very well could be Unagi. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't blink an eye at it. Hell, there could be multiple X's for all I know, and Unagi could just be one of them. It could be like Unagi and fucking you, and like, I don't even know anymore. Like, Stardom, the communication that Stardom has with their fans is among the worst I've ever seen in a wrestling company before.
Yeah. It's like, no, you'll find out when everybody else finds out, and even we don't know yet, so you're going to find out when we find out.
Yeah, like, they're still on the phone trying to figure out who X is right now at this moment.
Yeah. All right, well, I don't want to stick on Joshi and just Japanese stuff too long. I think we've talked about all the salient points. I can't really think of anything else. I'm going to be honest, didn't really watch Raw this week, or really anything this week. The only clip I watched from any show, which should tell you guys a lot about where I am with the storyline right now, is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the Bloodline beating down Sami Zayn. Did I watch anything from AEW this week? No, I know for a fact I didn't. I did hear about Adam Cole's return and stuff, but all the information I got about AEW came from you and the Discord more broadly. So I've really got nothing. I feel like Raw really wasn't much of a... Oh, actually, there was one thing from Raw, and that was Austin Theory getting punked out by Seth and Lashley. Which really, that's all about the Rumble, because Theory was like, oh, I'm going to win the Rumble and I'm going to then win the world title while being the U.S. champion. So great. Another person that wants to hold 2 titles and all this stuff. And
Gunther was said the same thing last night on SmackDown.
But see, the difference is, even though I still hate it in principle, at least with him, I look at that mammoth of a man and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm not like, no, you can't. No, Gunther's legit. I've already told you that when Roman's time is done, Gunther should absolutely be positioned as the top heel.
Yeah.
And if they're not doing that, I really don't understand it, like, at all, because I think he's so ready for that spot. But,
I mean, dude, he fucking beat Strowman last night in a really, like... I didn't expect him to do it, and then he did it, and I was blown away by it.
But see, that's how it should be, though, right? Because like, dude, I don't blame you in the slightest, because I was as cynical as you. I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna give it to the freaking right. Which also, I like it, because you know what I've been saying. I want Sheamus to be the one to end the title, preferably at Mania, because that's where all the babyface moment happened. And I think he's done great work the past like 2 years. Give the man his Grand Slam and move Gunther up to the main event. But yeah, I was surprised to see it too, dude. I actually did catch that little clip before we went live. I feel like he finished Braun with like a running power bomb almost, which was a great fucking visual. Yeah. And yeah, dude's he's a beast. Yep. I'm sorry, like, I know promos and stuff like that, and I've even come up and I've been like, well, if you're gonna be a world champion, you got to talk. But he does. It's very succinct and it's very straightforward. Look, I'm a wrestler before anything else. And that's enough for me, because I'm going to beat you and I'm going to, break you and bend you like a pretzel. And it's enough. It's like, God, what a force of nature. So yeah, loving what Gunther's doing right now. But as far as Theory goes, Lashley speared him, because then Lashley followed from Seth, who is okay. That's, I think, another reason why it's good to at least talk about this first. Seth, we know is healthy, came out with crutches, but it was a punk out. Then, Tostin was able to walk out on his own 2 feet. Big relief, because I do think Seth, he's a hot ticket item right now. I think anybody in that locker room that doesn't have a match for Mania, but is like still high enough on the card to be believable, you should be angling to work with Seth. Yeah. Because Seth really has become like that attraction opponent for WrestleMania. Like, you've got your championship matches, your undercard matches, and then you've got that special attraction match. It can only happen at WrestleMania. I think Seth's kind of got that distinction on him right now. So I'm glad he's healthy, and everybody in that locker room should be glad he's healthy, because that's one hell of a dance partner. Lashley throws Theory over the top rope. But then this got me thinking, another reason why I'm bringing this up, because I also talked in the Discord today that, I've been so adamant, especially because you painted the vision so beautifully to begin with, about Sami winning the Rumble. I'm sold on it. But I did say that if this person's music hit, I'd lose my fucking mind, and I probably wouldn't even be mad if he won. And I posted a link to Big E's theme song. But I'm not asking about Big E. What I wanted to ask you was, what were some surprise returns or just entrants in general that you would like to see in the Rumble, man? Since we're now officially in Rumble season in my mind, since you and I got Wrestle Kingdom and everything else done, who were some surprise entrants you'd like in the Rumble this year?
First and foremost, Rick Boogs.
Nice.
He is
Love
the
that.
number one guy that I have been looking forward to having back on my TV every week. I really can't wait to see him again, and I really hope that he has a big Rumble return. I, I part of me would actually love it if he would return and win the damn thing, but every bit of me knows that that's never going to happen. But just, man, I miss him. He was so fun and so entertaining and so good in the ring for someone as green as he was, man. That was shocking. He was like, he had that like Pat McAfee level of like natural in the ring kind of thing. Speaking of McAfee, I'd love to see him return at the Rumble and then just be on commentary every week after that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, his voice is definitely missed right now. Nothing against. I think Wade is in there right now.
Yeah.
I like Wade. This is not like an anti-Wade space, but yeah, Pat McAfee's untouchable for sure. Like it's felt his absence right now.
Yeah. And speaking of Rick Boogs, I mean, shit. Nakamura, I think, hasn't been around in a while because of the Muta thing. Maybe he makes his return to the Rumble as well.
Yeah, yeah, I love that idea. Love that idea.
I'm as far as like I obviously agree. You know, if Biggie would return to the Rumble, it would be incredible because of the fact that like it means that he's cleared, and that's amazing. Another guy though that it would be a huge pop because it means he's cleared. It would be amazing. Would be Randy Orton.
That's true. God, you know what's funny? Like I've been thinking about Big E lately more than I've been thinking about Orton, but I think that's how he likes it because then he can strike out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randy. I have not heard anything about him in a while. The last thing I heard was his father saying that Randy will be back sooner than you think. But you never know if that's like a close family member or friend putting on a brave
He's
front.
a fucking carny.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. Well, I was even just going to say more generally like a friend or a family member putting on a brave front,
Right.
or just like not wanting to let the cat out of the bag and kind of respecting that person's boundaries. But yeah, I mean, you know, like if it was Randy, I think that'd be great. To be quite honest, see, it's funny because I feel bad for Randy in a way because when he comes back, he could do the Rumble, but I wouldn't expect him to win it. Maybe make final two. Just be like, oh, is Randy going to win? I think it would be like his third Rumble if he won it. Is he going to pull an Austin and win his third Rumble? But I still feel like he's kind of tied to Matt Riddle in a way, and Matt Riddle's like a flaming circus right now because he's got the whole rehab thing, and allegations are still there. I don't even know where they are legally, but they're still like on the forefront of people's minds when they see him and stuff like that. And you know, I don't like him because of all that. And really, I didn't even like what they had planned for them apparently because the rumor was that Randy was just going to turn heel. And I felt like the fascinating story was Riddle turning heel.
Yeah.
Because it's like Orton finally learns to trust again after the Evolution betrayal well over a decade ago.
Almost two at this. Well, it would be 2 decades ago at this point. It was in what 04, right?
It was in 04, yeah.
So almost 2 decades ago.
Yeah. And yeah, I just really think it would be cool for Randy to just kind of be away from Riddle. And if you have to do the program, because Riddle is, I think, the quintessential sunken cost fallacy now. He keeps getting in trouble or putting his foot in his mouth, and it's like, oh, but there's so much value in him, and we put so much time in him. I'd have Riddle do the heel run, especially because it'd be similar to Roman. You get the heel run out, and then if he would turn babyface again, maybe people would be, you know, really white hot for him again. I don't know, but yeah, Randy's got to be back sometime. Anybody else besides Orton that you're thinking of that you'd like to see?
Yeah, but we're going away from returns at this point, and we're going more along the lines of debuts, or I guess in this sense we could say call-ups. I would love to see both Braun Breaker and Cameron Grimes in the Rumble this year.
Yes. Oh, actually, you know what? This isn't the appropriate place to talk about it. I know you don't watch NXT, but I actually saw a clip from NXT that we'll get to that after this discussion, potentially. But yeah, Braun Breaker and Cameron Grimes, I think would be fantastic. Would love to see that.
Who is involved in the clip that you saw?
Oh, it was Braun's defense against Grayson Waller.
Oh, the rope breaking. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I might get more into that like after this. I know we're kind of talking Rumble now, so I don't want to shift focus too sharply.
Right, yeah. What about women? Let's talk about women. Let's talk about who are the women you want to see in the Rumble.
Women I want to see in the Rumble. I'd love to see Victoria again. I think Victoria's still solid.
Now my mind is on NXT, and I'm thinking like I want to see Roxanne Perez and I want to see Indy Hartwell in the Rumble.
If we're talking about who we want to see in the Rumble, like on that front, Lyra Valkyria. Yeah. She's already so good in the ring and shit. Give her that rub. Let her show early what she can do. She really shouldn't be in their NXT roster very long. Like, because it really does have the developmental feel again, which I'm not saying is necessarily a bad thing. It's just not entertaining to us. But how much development does this woman really need? I would have her in there. I think she is going to be a huge asset for one of the main rosters. So, yeah, Lyra Valkyria for me.
Javaris said Mello in the Rumble. Dude, I have to ask you, are you at all worried at how teensy-weensy tiny Carmelo Hayes is?
God damn. Well, while we're waiting for Javaris to respond to that, I think Wendy Chu could also be a fun entrant.
Yes.
Kind of like a comedy entrant.
Dude, I never see clips of her on Reddit anymore. It's such a shame. I feel like she must just not get featured on NXT anymore, and that's so sad because she's so good. Like, if they're not doing anything with her, please put her on SmackDown. SmackDown's women's division is non-existent. It's ass.
So here's the thing. With SmackDown and Raw, because we know the writing is so fucking awful there too, you could just put her in sleeping segments for like 8 weeks. They do that with so many other talents anyway.
Oh.
You might as well just do sleeping segments, and then when you got a story for her, maybe somebody just like walks into her because she's laying down on the floor and they trip over her or something like that, and it leads to a match. It's really not that hard of a character to write for, because it is above all a comedy character to me. Even though she's great in the ring, I'm not trying to diminish her, but the character, it's not like you're doing Shakespeare here. You know, she sleeps a lot.
God, that almost makes me feel like we should drop the sleepy gimmick though, because like she's talented enough to be a women's champion. She's so good.
She would. Here's the thing, though. I agree with you, but she couldn't just be a good wrestler. She needs a character to me, and that's the one thing that I think NXT got right with her both times, is that they gave her, a character to work with. So I don't know what character she could do outside of those two characters that she would be comfortable with and really tap into. But I just feel like if she was just a wrestler, because I feel like SmackDown and Raw both kind of low-key have that problem. I like characters for women. So I'd like her to be some kind of character wrestler. I just don't know what the character would be. But yeah, she's definitely got the goods, man, for sure. She can definitely be a champion. No doubt about that. What do we think about Gigi Dolan, are both members of Toxic Attraction in the Rumble?
I
know you and I like Gigi. So
I do love Gigi, but I don't know if they'd even want to have her in there, man. I don't know. That's a tough one because, like, I feel like you can't have one or the other without both being in it. And, like, I don't know if JC Jane is good enough that I would want her in the Rumble, even if it would also mean getting Gigi in the Rumble, if that makes sense.
Right, you don't think it's like a worthwhile trade?
Yeah.
Just given.
Like, if I could just have Gigi in the Rumble, I'd be happy about that for sure. But if I have to use 2 slots on both Gigi and Lacey, give me the 2 slots back, please.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because I think you're recognizing the value of a Rumble spot and that there are only so many.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
which is what's going to make it so fucking dumb when Dana Brooke shows up yet again.
Dana Brooke, dude, God, I know this is getting away from Rumble somewhat, but I'm really worried about the women's matches for Mania this year, because everything I've been hearing is awful. And you know what I'm hearing now? I'm hearing, because Charlotte's a babyface, I'm hearing it's going to be Charlotte Lacey at Mania, because the whole Lacey, like...
No, dude, Rhea's going to win the Rumble and go after Charlotte, I guarantee it.
Oh, God. The funny thing was, their Mania match wasn't bad, but that was because Rhea's just an amazing athlete and, like, really good in the ring. And I'm really enjoying her character now, too, so she's going to single-handedly carry that feud if that's the case. And probably not even win the match. God damn.
But what if she does, though?
Do you want my honest answer? That doesn't even really matter. Because, like, I feel like with people like Charlotte and Ronda and stuff like that, like, in the orbit, even the victories are so short-lived that it practically might as well not have happened. So, like, I feel like I lose regardless, not even because of anything involving Rhea, but just because Charlotte exists in a wrestling space. Should have just stayed and played volleyball. God damn it. Fuck. Uh, Foster said Billy came in. Yeah, Foster, last I heard, the Iconics were on a break from wrestling. And I don't really know if they would want to do Impact like that. I don't know. I mean, anything's possible in pro wrestling. You know,
Wait, why'd you
I've
say
kind of-
Impact?
well, because they were Impact tag champs for a time. I never thought that they got released, right? Unless they did get released.
Oh. I thought
Can somebody update me on that? Because maybe I have my head
no,
up my ass.
I thought that Foster was saying Billy Kay maybe as someone for in the Rumble.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like, I don't see it. I don't see that happening because last I heard they were taking a break from wrestling and they were last on Impact. So I don't know if they would want to do Impact like that. I don't know if that's good optics.
Oh, so you're saying like you don't know if they would want to like fuck Impact over by going to WWE when they were last working for Impact and then decided they were going to go on a break while they were still working for Impact.
Especially break, like what is that in a legal context? Because we don't even know if they still have a deal with them or what. So
yeah,
that was more the point I was
now.
making.
I get you now. I really did not understand what you meant, but now I get you.
And and George said Ann Payton is pregnant. Then again, companies borrow. I mean, that's the thing, Foster. Yeah, like a lot of situations for a lot of different companies seem a bit up in the air or tentative. I am excited for both Rumble matches, but I'm just still really something in the pit of my stomach is really scared about the Mania card this year. I think just because of the worst case scenarios that we've already kind of explicated in this series and in other commentaries, you know, from Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, Ronda versus Rhea, or Ronda versus Bianca, or whoever, Bianca Charlotte. I've heard like it's just none of the options really grab me like, oh man, I can't wait for WrestleMania. But I am still looking forward to the Rumble. That's the odd thing. It's like I'm looking forward to the car crash unfolding, but not the actual crash when it happens. So there you go. Trying to think if there's anything else to talk about on that. Because yeah, I mean, obviously there's still the rest of Raw.
I just looked up Cassie Lee on Instagram, and she is fucking. She gonna pop soon, bro. She's got to be 7-8 months for sure. She's close.
Damn.
She's close as hell.
All right. Well, congratulations to her. Hope it all goes well.
The thing is, she and Billy, neither one of them has wrestled since, I want to say, April?
Yeah, I haven't heard about them in a long time, bro.
They revealed the sex of their child in October. How early can doctors determine sex of baby? Oh God, that's so early. Okay, so never mind. That's not really helpful. I'm trying to figure out when she's due to get an idea of like when we can expect her or either one of them to get back in the ring or anything. I don't know if they're even gonna get back in the ring when she gives birth. She's probably gonna want to be a fucking mom. I don't even know what I'm doing this for.
Yeah.
She wants to be a mom, man. What am I doing?
I don't know. All right. There's something I was gonna say, and now I lost my train of thought. Fuck.
Oh no.
With Raw. Oh, that's right. That's right. We know Judgment Day are gonna be challenging the Usos, but that seems like a nothing burger.
Yeah, for the Raw tag titles though.
God, it really shows you where my tastes in wrestling are. Yeah, that was interesting. Actually, you know what? Before I continue on my bullshit, we should stop because you made a salient point. Yeah, how do you feel about that? That they kind of treated it like a separate entity kind of thing? Does that give you hope that these titles will be separated eventually?
I forget, who was it? Somebody was challenging the Usos for the SmackDown tag titles next week too, I want to say. Or
we know Drew and Sheamus already got their shot.
I think Drew and are Drew and Sheamus facing the Viking Raiders next week, and then the winner of that match maybe gets a shot at the SmackDown tag titles? I don't remember.
I mean, it'd be cool for Sheamus and Drew to get a rematch, given that they were cheated out of the titles. You know, Usos used the ropes to retain.
Oh, there's going to be a tournament on SmackDown next week. Okay, that's what it is. But again, like on SmackDown last night, they did specifically say that it was for the SmackDown tag titles. So like we're back to treating them like separate titles again.
Which, it's funny that that's happening now so close to the road to WrestleMania.
I really want them to do it with the world titles too.
Because Sammy deserves one of those fucking world titles, and that's what I'm worried about. Like, here's the thing, guys. I'm being truthful. if you wanted to give Cody or Rock or whatever your plan is for Roman one of the titles, but you still gave Sammy the other one, I would shut the fuck up and I would take it.
Dude,
because like that's what it's
do you know
about
what would
for me.
make me happiest?
What's that?
Is if they did their Rock or Cody bullshit or whatever the hell they want to do with the Universal title and had Roman retain in that match, but had him drop the WWE title to Sammy so that Roman could continue this insanely long Universal title reign that he's been on, that he started in, like, I want to say August of 2020 or September or something like that of 2020. And that gets to keep going. And the WWE title that just started at the beginning of last year can be a little shorter in the sense that it's only a little over 1 year rather than going on 3.
Dude, he's fucking Thanos power level with that title reign. Jesus Christ. You gotta put somebody over with the WWE, and I'm telling you, Sammy's the guy. I mean, granted, he is a bit on the older side, but he's so fucking over that maybe he'll transfer it to a young and promising heel. I don't fucking know. Figure your shit out, but Sammy deserves one of those titles regardless. He could be 60 and doing this kind of work, and I'd be like, you can hold it for at least 1 month. Christ. So I'm ready for it. Again, Rumble is looking like a solid card. I'm excited for Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns. 3, Kevin even acknowledged in a SmackDown exclusive kind of thing that, they've got a little bit of a trilogy going. And, in his classic Kevin Owens fashion of like, But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Sure.
If Sammy specifically takes the WWE title specifically off of Roman, who in your mind is the best candidate to take the Universal Championship off of him then?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question, but with a qualification. Depending on the state of the bloodline after Roman definitively loses, which could make him a lot more violent, hostile, and just psychically fractured, Jey Uso, definitely. I believe in Jey Uso as a main event guy with that singles run. I still, to this day, even though I've gotten back to loving the Usos and their tag work, it really is for me like when Morty experienced True Level in Rick and Morty. Because like then now I'm looking at things as they always are, and Jey Uso's always been a tag team guy, and I realize this kind of sucks. Like I really liked main event Jey Uso, so Jey would actually be my number 1 pick if the Bloodline's in chaos after losing the WWE title, because that challenges Roman's perception of self and the perception he projects to the Bloodline entire. If the Bloodline's still going strong, Roman's shrugging it off because he's like, well, I've got the title that matters because I'm the champion of the universe, whatever the fuck. Honestly, for as much as I love Kevin, and I feel like Kevin would have been good at one point, I gotta say Drew, man. Drew or a returning Big E, in my mind.
Dude,
I think
same page there for sure. Like, yeah. I saw Alex Foster say Jey, and I'm like, God, I love the idea of main event Jey, but Jey Uso, Universal Champion, just hits so wrong to me. It just feels so wrong. The Universal title is supposed to be the top title. Jey Uso's Jey Uso. Come on.
And, I get that initial reaction, but the funny thing? Because I can definitely be sympathetic to it. Unlike when Jinder Mahal won the WWE title, I would be so open to that experiment and what Jey could do as a singles guy, because it's not just Jey Uso. More thematically, it's a Jey Uso that like stepped out of Roman Reigns' shadow, stepped out of the tag team shadow, and really is like his own guy. And I do have to wonder what that reign would do for him as a character.
I understand that, but it's like if one of the Young Bucks, pick one I don't care, beat Kenny Omega for the AEW World title. It just doesn't make sense.
I feel like that's a bit. I don't think that's totally generous to the story that they've told with Jey, though, in this particular.
Well, I mean, even if they would tell a similarly amazing story with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, I still wouldn't feel right with a Young Buck, just like I don't feel like with an Uso holding the main world title.
See, I think that leads to a more interesting question about you personally, right? Because I feel like when you do the whole point of stories like that, right? I think is to alter the collective perception of a particular performer. Now, sometimes it's easier than other times. For example, with Daniel Bryan, maybe there was a segment of the population that really saw him as like a Dean Malenko-esque, right? This guy is really good in the ring, maybe just mid-card, maybe has a really great, really like workhorse type Intercontinental title reign. And then they do the whole yes movement, and even before that, the weak link storyline, and you start to buy the guy as a main eventer. That's what I think the purpose is of storylines like that, and similarly to storylines like Jey Uso. It's to alter the perception of this guy and what he's capable of. So is there anything for guys like Jey or guys like a Young Buck that could change your perception? Does it really come down to them? How much can the writing help? Where does that fall for you personally?
I think I just feel like if you are in a tag team with your literal brother and you're like a smaller guy and you're not like main event look and you're just in that situation for so long that I just can't imagine you as a singles main eventer. I guess that's just my brain.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I always want to know, because it's like if
It's like the Usos have always been the Usos to me, and I don't care if it's Jimmy or Jay. If you just take one of them and try and make a main eventer out of him, I just have a hard time fully buying that guy who's basically one half of a whole in my mind being a main eventer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like to me, it's funny because I don't know if me and Foster kind of part ways on this, but if it would be Jay, granted, this would be anybody. So I'm not even saying it has to be Jay. It could be Drew or a returning Big E, which I also think would be emotional as fuck. But, let's just stick with Jay since that's who we said. I could see his reign not even lasting that long, maybe like 2-3 months because he wins the, rematch against Roman, whatever, shows it wasn't a fluke, whatever the story is. And then, then goes on his reign. I could see, since I've been talking about Gunther being the next top heel, being the guy to do it. And then the funny thing is, if I'm being somewhat realistic, because I already don't think Jay is going to end it, but you did ask the question initially, if it was just the WWE title and it was the Universal title, who do I think the best guy is? And then that's how we got started here.
Yeah.
That I could see Gunther holding it so long that Reigns goes back to being babyface, and then he challenges Gunther for it, and that's the big money match, and Roman might even take the title off him and have a babyface reign to kind of complete the larger story of Roman Reigns.
Right.
So that's kind of my thing, is like, Jay should be respected, and I think he's done great work, but even, even me in the end.
I think in my mind, like, the quote-unquote correct catharsis for all of the bullshit that Roman put Jay through isn't Jay winning the big one. It's Jay costing Roman the big one.
Interesting.
Like, it's less about Jay becoming the star and more about Jay being the reason that Roman falls from grace. You know what I mean?
See, that's a very interesting take that you have, because to me, like, I'm sympathetic, but I do take that extra step of him beating Roman because it really is about, like, from the beginning of their feud, right? Like, the familial interpersonal dynamics of like, Oos, why can't I be the head of the table? Why does it have to be you? I think that's part of Roman's perception, not just with like the locker room, but his family very specifically. Like, if I'm not leading it, if I'm not getting the lion's share for all of us, if I'm not putting my best foot forward, nobody eats, which is pretty much saying like, I'm the only capable one in this family, which at bottom is very insulting. Right? So it's like, that's why I think I do take that extra step, because I get where you're coming from. But I think for Jay, it's not just overcoming the abuse of Roman. It's, again, overcoming Roman's self-aggrandizement, his narcissism, and how he's kind of, made everybody else internalize that,
right,
for a manner of speaking. So, yeah, I just think it's a really complex story. But here's the thing, too, though, and this is where I'll be fair to people that, like you, maybe just cannot, by any means, buy into Jay as a main eventer or buy into Jay as a world champion specifically. I don't even think he has to win the title. I just think he has to beat Roman in a singles match. You could even do that match after Roman drops the title. Have Jay win, and I think you still get a magnificent
payoff.
Now
that I would be on board with. Jay beating Roman in a singles match? Sure. Yeah, I'm down. Because here's the thing. Jay Uso came close to beating Roman in singles matches while Roman was the Universal Champion multiple times at the end of 2020. Like, it's believable. Like, I can buy that one match thing, but what I don't buy is the sustainability of it.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's very fair. I don't judge you for that. I don't think, anything of that. Because again, he has been packaged and presented for so long now as a tag team guy. And
like I said, as one half of a whole.
Yeah, exactly. As one half of a whole. And to be fair, to your viewpoint, anybody that shares it, main event Jey Uso, for all intents and purposes, is still a very recent invention.
Yeah.
Which is why I liked it so much, because I feel like it was just really getting going. And then Jimmy comes back, and I mean, good for Jimmy, absolutely. But it's like, oh man, really? People are going back to this? Because even when Jimmy came back, to be honest with you, I would have thought the story would have been more interesting if Jay was reluctant to tag with Jimmy, not because of necessarily Roman's perception, but because Jay has got a good thing going here.
Right.
Like, didn't he even win an armbar? Which I know isn't like a big deal, but I'm just trying to remember everything that Jey Uso did. He won an armbar, didn't he? That was
Yeah,
like
I
the
think he
biggest
did.
thing he
Like,
did.
was that 2021 maybe?
I think it was. Yeah. And like, I was kind of expecting the Intercontinental title or just like some mid-card title to be next. And then Jimmy comes back and I'm like, oh.
Oh.
But
Was there even an armbar in 2021?
I feel like he did win it though at some point.
Oh, it was on. Oh, that's what it was, dude. The fucking armbar in 2021 wasn't actually on the WrestleMania show.
It was SmackDown, right?
Yes, it was on the special WrestleMania edition of SmackDown, and Jay won it on there.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. And I'm like, man, that's so cool. And you know, just all that stuff. So yeah, somewhere that Jay Roman story, it's gotta come back and it's gotta, you know, give Jay that rub to me. But wherever they go beyond that. But yeah, I mean, if they are separating the titles to bring it back to the kind of original jumping off point,
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that. You know, give Sammy the WWE title. You continue the dominant as fuck Universal title reign because he beats Cody, and especially if it's The Rock. Cody, I would just laugh, but like I'm not expecting it because I don't know. Rock, I mean, definitely. Rock's not going to show up tomorrow. Fuck all of that noise. Roman's got to retain. And then yeah, you go from there.
Yep.
Can't really think of anything else to talk about like Rumble specific, and I already mentioned on Raw. Judgment Day, and that kind of got us in this bigger discussion. I will say that it really shows how skewed my wrestling tastes are because I haven't watched any of the good stuff, but I actually make time to watch Dominic Mysterio on Miz TV. So I'm coming down with some of the people.
God, why?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I shit you not. When that segment came on my TV, I tried to bear it for you, but I couldn't, and I muted my TV because I couldn't handle Dom's cringe.
Dude, like I said, man, he's my guilty pleasure right now. I'm loving it.
I feel like we
him,
have very
yeah.
different definitions of guilty pleasures.
I'm just trying to be like, yeah. So my cellmate was talking, you know, talking crap or whatever, and I came down and I'm like, we got a problem. And it's just trying to act like a tough guy. Like, what the hell is this? And I love too that Judgment Day is just bought in, particularly Priest. And so when Miz is questioning the narrative, they're like, "What'd you say?" So he's got like the muscle to back him up. And Loki has that Spike Dudley energy when he turned heel back in like I want to say 05, 06. And he was like leading the Dudleys. It's like, what the hell is this? But no, I'm enjoying it. I still don't know. I know I've been saying like Dominic and Ray, that match is going to happen at WrestleMania and stuff. But yeah, I really don't know.
Everything in his power to ignore. Like literally last night on SmackDown, Ray came out and cut a promo in front of the crowd talking about his delinquent son, basically. And then he said, "The one thing that I can do to take my mind off of these terrible things that have been going on in my life lately is to enter the Royal Rumble and win it, and then win the World Championship at the Royal Rumble." So, like, he completely brushed it under the rug and ignored it and is just moving on to the Rumble. And then Cross came out and murdered him with words.
You know, the way you started that impression, it sounded a bit Scott Steiner. So I'm like, is Ray going to find his inner Scott Steiner? And I'm like, that would be a story I'd be so into. You just see Ray at the gym, lifting weights. Take your clothes off. I'm working off. And it's just, Angie comes in the frame, Oscar! And it's like, oh, sorry, baby. I'm just trying to, you know, discipline our son a different way. The Scott Steiner way. But yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, Ray is going through it, man. Your own kid doesn't respect you. Your kid is like trespassing not once but twice. You called the cops, so you look like a shitty parent because we're ACAB in this house. And now you got to deal with QAnon Cross, who still looks like basic as fuck. Like I saw the thumbnail of Ray getting choked out by Cross, you know, with that hair. That I'm like, why? You actually wore better with the bald
hair?
look? Yeah, it offends me. And I have a receding hairline. Like, if anything, it's more audacious of me to be offended than for you to offend by attempting hair. But I do say attempting because, my guy, what the fuck is going on there? Shave it. Jesus. Yeah, it sucks. Everything sucks. I feel bad for Ray. I think he's kind of wasted in this. Obviously, you don't want to hotshot a program with, say, like him and Escobar, because Santos, I mean, let me tell you, baby, that is a fine wine. You don't go through that quickly. But, you know, you could at least start to build to that if you're not going to do Dominic. You could have Santos throw Ray over the top rope or something. And then use the value of Rey Mysterio as a legend. Like, that's the thing. I feel like I've contributed to this, and I genuinely feel bad. I think sometimes we forget how much of a big deal Ray is just because of the jokes and some of the shit that WWE has had him do. But, like, dude is huge in Lucha Libre. Like, I feel like Lucha Underground understood that on a fundamental level that WWE hasn't for at least the last number of years.
Yeah, 15 or so.
And yeah, and
Probably
like
since before he left and ended up in Lucha Underground in the first place.
yeah, and it's like you really don't get it, huh? Okay. So we're doing this now. And yeah, I feel bad for the dude, quite honestly. I think Cross is a waste. I don't think it's gonna happen. They should stop trying to make it happen because it hurts me. And they're still gonna do it. So yeah, there you go. Then, I mean, if we're on the SmackDown track again, the only thing that was really big to me, because again, I was really checked out of all the wrestling products this week, was again
Bloodline.
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. They're having a match.
Shit.
I think Paul. Beg pardon.
It was good shit, I said.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you know, apparently there was a segment earlier in the night. Paul Heyman's like, you know, Roman Reigns believes in you, and Sami told Kevin that he's going to stand on his own 2 feet and, you know, do this on his own. And the Bloodline attacks, and it looks like Sami was going to win. He was going to get the haluva kick. Like, we don't know.
Oh,
that's the whole point
no,
of the
Sami had
ambiguity
the
of it,
match
but-
won, and that's the entire reason the Bloodline attacked when they did. This was a test from Roman Reigns. Remember, last week, Roman was confronting Sami about how over Sami was getting. This week, Roman's like, hey, Sami, is your little mission here about you, or do you remember that I'm the tribal chief?
Yes.
Do you remember that we aren't here for you, you're here for me?
Yeah.
The goal isn't for Sami Zayn to start racking up wins and to prove himself. The goal is for Sami Zayn to contribute to the continuation of the dominant reign of Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Roman be like, this is the island of relevancy, not the archipelago of relevancy. You don't get to be your own island, Sami.
Yep.
Stand in the back of the fucking line.
Exactly. Great way. I like that phrasing, not the archipelago. I love that. Thank you.
I mean, that's just me taking it to the next level.
What is your favorite archipelago, John?
Oh, God, now you had to put me on the spot. Like, I had the win, and then you take it away from me, because I don't have one. I'm very geographically challenged.
Wait, really? I mean, I feel like there's two obvious choices. It's either got to be Hawaii or Japan, right?
I mean, I guess Japan, but I really haven't experienced either intimately, to use a word like favorite. But yeah, Japan, probably.
Yeah, same.
They make great anime. Chainsaw Man is amazing, y'all. Ash and I did the first 2 episodes last night. Holy fucking shit.
It's fucking wild.
Cannot wait to watch more of that with you tonight. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. And you know, it's funny, like, I'm so glad you took that line with it, and you certainly weren't alone in that. But I did see some people being like, oh, see how, like, Kevin Owens being destroyed is, like, hurting Sami, and I'm like, that wasn't it at all.
Nope.
Sami very clearly, I think, is, like, enthused about the bloodline. He's not a
this
double
is
agent
why
or a
we
sleeper
can't
agent.
have more complex stories in wrestling, because there's such a huge percentage of the audience that misinterprets even the most basic shit like this. When they make one little tiny toe tap out of the most simplistic shit in an attempt to tell something even remotely complex, people immediately start misinterpreting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so I'm still excited though where this story will go. Because again, my vision right now, and this is the ideal vision, I'll let you guys know what the more realistic, grounded, John remembered to just sit down, shut the fuck up, and enjoy it take is come Rumble predictions. But it really is just Sami helps Roman retain against Kevin, just to really double down on his loyalty. But then he goes on to win the Rumble, and that makes Roman, like, you know, it's like, okay, he helped me, but now he's also challenging me, and he's directly, like, crossing in front of me by winning the Rumble. But again, my more realistic, oh wait, I forgot where we were, I'll sit down and shut up now pick, that'll come later when we do our fun Rumble predictions with our mini game and shit. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, that's all I could really think to talk about there. I did mention that I did see Grayson Waller and Braun Breaker the closing minutes of their match on NXT, and I really don't get that at all. Like, it was, dude, honestly, I saw it the first time and I did laugh a little. I'm not going to be like, oh, I uproariously laughed or cackled or whatever. I was just like, oh my God, that is so ridiculous. What? Like, I even rewound it to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, did I really see it as it happened? And yeah, they just had the ring break because Grayson Waller, who looks to be no more than, I don't know, maybe like 210 soaking wet. He doesn't really look like that big of a fucking dude. Breaks the middle rope and it just collapses. So it's like, what the hell?
Finn Balor's gigantic demon dick could do it.
Yeah, right. And fucking God being like, you're right, Roman, you are the one. But yeah, I mean, what's even crazier was, and I can't believe I'm about to say this fucking sentence, so fuck WWE so hard. At least with Finn, I can't believe I'm about to rationalize this bullshit. Like, you know, maybe you could make that fucking argument. It was on the top rope, everything else, whatever. This was the dude on the middle rope. And I don't know. I didn't get it at all. I'm like, if this is to protect Grayson, why not just do a double pin?
Bro,
so then you could have Grayson arrogantly say...
somebody needs to ask Shawn Michaels if he's dying of dementia, because I just can't imagine seeing... the spot that Vince did where Balor was on the top rope and the fucking rope broke, and then B, thinking to yourself, that's a good idea, and then C, seeing the backlash that it got and how much everyone universally hated not Roman Reigns for winning in that way, but the fucking writers for thinking it was a good decision, and then still in your mind being like, that's such a good idea, I'm going to copy that and do that in the promotion that I'm in charge of now.
Yeah, I have to wonder what's going on over there, man. Because, like, it wasn't a good idea at all. It wasn't a good idea the first time they did it.
That's the only logical conclusion that I can arrive at this point.
I mean, goddamn, I kind of want to pile on with the meanness, but I feel like you already said it well enough, and I'm like, you know what? It's already dead, John. You don't have to be a part of everything. But yeah,
I like it when you're a part of things with me, though.
I appreciate it, but I'm trying to be nicer in the new year. It's not really going so well right now. I know I've turned up a couple times, but yeah, just trying to grow just a little bit. But no, like, in all seriousness, it's, again, I don't know why you couldn't, and this is me, I don't even know why I'm giving a fuck about NXT and wasting everybody's time. I apologize, but again, we're talking about stuff. It's kind of the point of the show.
You know who you're making
they could have
angry
just done...
by talking about NXT?
Beg pardon?
I said, do you know who you're making angry by talking about NXT?
I mean, myself, first and foremost, because this product fucking sucks. But I guess nobody else.
Yeah, I was just going to say nobody.
Yeah, I don't really care for Grayson Waller, but again, if you're doing pro wrestling and you've got an investment and you want to make that person work, then I'm thinking logically, okay, I hate it. I hate that you're doing this to me, but I'll roll my sleeves up and I'll try and help you make this work. Why not just do a double pin? Or maybe even Braun, like, I wouldn't necessarily want Braun to cheat. I mean, look at him. He doesn't need to cheat, and he's the babyface. But yeah, that's why I keep going back to double pin.
Waller wins so that Braun can move on to a company not being booked by someone that's dying of dementia.
I mean, that's true, too. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched a Braun Breaker match in a minute, so I'll trust the chat, because it sounds like Javaris and Alex, or at the very least Alex, are more plugged into NXT than we are. Does he even need any more seasoning? Like, is he just ready to fucking go? Because then we could do Grayson Waller and Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship, and that'd be fucking great for Carmelo. So, yeah, I'm just wondering here what the hell's going on. But yeah, that was utterly absurd. Beyond that, though, I really don't know what to talk about in the WWE kind of sphere of things. And then really the only notable thing for me with AEW would just be Adam Cole. But again, you were more plugged into the show than I was, because you were feeding me, like, stuff like, oh, they're doing, what was it, Danielson Takeshita next week? Or is it Danielson
Takeshita happened this week, bro. We're getting Danielson Bandito next week.
That's right. That's what it was. My God. Not only are you going to go through the trial, but the trial is going to be like in-ring fucking bangers.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to say about WWE, or should we just go to AEW since, again, you did see it?
Let's get into AEW. Let's talk AEW. I feel like AEW had more ups than downs this week, which is not something I say about them very often.
All right, then let's appreciate this while we got it. What would you like to talk about? Because again, you were more
Well,
dialed in than I
I
was, so I'm
mean,
leaving it to
we
you.
might as well just talk about Danielson Takeshita while we're here.
I can imagine how much of a banger that match was.
It was really good. It was a lot of fun. It was really good. Did you not see any of it at all? You haven't seen any clips or anything?
No, like I said, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, I've really not seen anything.
damn.
Again, I'm going through my sickness where I prioritize Dominic Mysterio on Miz TV over literally everything.
Jesus Christ! Wow.
Well, that and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So I'm 50-50. I'm splitting the uprights there.
I'm so sorry, John.
It's a fun time. It's a fun time.
We
But
can save you.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I also did mean to watch Hangman versus Mox because didn't that happen this week?
Wait, what was that?
Hangman Moxley? Did they have a match or like some kind of physical altercation? Because it sounded like they had a match to me. I saw
Yeah,
like the YouTube highlights.
Hangman Moxley. That was definitely a thing. I think that was this week. I'm trying to remember, honestly. Yeah, it was. It was this week. That opened the show, actually. That's why I had a hard time remembering it. It opened the show. Hangman won, and then they did the whole tease like Moxley got knocked out to close the match.
I should watch it before I judge it, but just you saying that, it's like, why take a real life scare and then make it a story on the other side and do it kayfabe?
No, like like Hangman did the buckshot 1, 2, 3, and then as Hangman's walking up the ramp, Doc Samson's in the ring talking to Moxley, and Moxley's like, "Oh, what happened?"
Oh God, I know you hate when they do. Excuse me, I know you hate when they do concussion storylines.
Yeah.
And I'm like right there with you because that sounds like a concussion storyline.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we knocked him loopy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, Danielson Takeshita, what were some of your highlights from that match though? Did they like any spots stand out?
Oh, dude, admittedly, I'm not a real like remember the kind of spots in the match kind of guy. I don't know if you realize that about me yet, but the thing that I remember most, Danielson won with a regal stretch yet again.
Interesting. I love that that's kind of become a part of that story, given what Max did to Regal.
Yeah, I think that's
cool.
really cool. But yeah, man, it was one of those matches that like it was really fun. Kind of had a dangerous moment. That's really, I think that's the thing that sticks out the most in my mind. There was a really scary spot where Danielson did the running knee to Takeshita on the outside, and I don't know if Takeshita took it wrong or if maybe Danielson just had too much momentum, but they ended up falling like right alongside the guardrail, and it looked like Danielson hurt his knee, and he like came up and he was limping, and I was really worried about him. But then they just kind of fucking kept going, and it was like it never happened. So yeah, like I really miss selling in wrestling in general.
Yeah. God. Feels like it's been a long time since we've seen like actual consistent selling.
It's really sad, man. It's really sad. Oh, here's something you might not know. When Takeshita made his entrance, and this is the reason that I didn't make Takeshita Danielson my match of the year, or at least one of the reasons. Takeshita made his entrance, and then Maxwell came out and cut a promo where he was racist towards Takeshita.
Oh, Christ.
He called him Take a Shitta.
Oh, my God.
And said, we speak American here.
Oh, fucking. Really? In 2023? God damn it. God damn it. See, though, this is why. This is why. Because AEW does shit like this, they have made me so averse to their stuff that even when they do good shit, I'm like, nah, pass. That's so lazy. Are you fucking kidding? Are we sure that Road Dogg didn't get a fucking job there? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Did Danielson also take low-hanging fruit again, or was he?
Danielson didn't talk, I don't think. I don't remember Danielson talking. I think it was just Maxwell. Maxwell just comes out before Danielson's music hits. Maxwell just came out, ran down Takeshita, ran down Ken Jeong, who was also in the crowd, ran down Freddie Prinze Jr., who was also in the crowd, and then that was when Danielson came out and we got our match, and that was just it.
Okay. That's really, really annoying. Really annoying. But what are you gonna do? What else happened this week for Dynamite?
Well, Adam Cole's back.
Yes, yes. I actually read a transcript of the promo. It seemed like it was a real fire promo. How was he on the mic? Did it get
Great.
you like smiling? Because it's
Oh
been so
yeah,
long since we heard an Adam Cole promo.
he never missed a step. He's still awesome.
Dude, I was even thinking that the other day, man, where I'm like, say what you will about Adam Cole, but you can't deny that the dude has freaking presence. Like, I was even thinking today, I was making my food. I knew we had this show today, and there were some things I wanted to watch that unfortunately I didn't get around to, so maybe next week's episode, because it was like older wrestling stuff, so it's not like I had to watch it this week. But I was thinking, I'm like, Cole really has been amazing in every company he's been in. ROH, I feel like he killed it. He was one of the few things I really cared about in ROH. NXT, obviously, he was a fucking god king, and I still feel like he could have main evented a WrestleMania had him and WWE were able to work something out. Freaking when he was in Force One, even as a really young wrestler starting out, he had presence even back then on the shows he was on to me, and I'm like, wow, this guy is different. There was one other company that I was trying to think of. Oh yeah, PWG. PWG when he was the champion there. I feel like he was great in PWG.
Yep.
AEW seems to be the one company where, through no fault of AEW's in this case, well, at least not entirely their fault, I feel like he hasn't gotten the hot start that I expected him to. So I do hope now with him being back that this has been kind of like a big reset for Cole. Like this is AEW Adam Cole take two kind of thing to me. I hope he goes all the way with it this time. I think with Max being kind of the top heel, at least internally probably in the company, I would hope that if him and Adam Cole cross paths, Adam's just the babyface. Because I think he could be one hell of a fire babyface promo. We know he can be because of the brief program he had with McAfee in NXT. So I think you get a babyface Cole, heel MJF. Because that's the thing. If MJF's cutting lazy promos like that, you know what that tells me? We have to carry this motherfucker for a year. So how do you carry him? You put him with the best people. Danielson, Keith Lee, Adam Cole, Claudio, Takeshita, maybe to one day get revenge. Eddie Kingston's the big one that everyone's been saying. You carry this fucking kid to a year-long title reign because I hate to break it to you, people, it's going to be that long in my opinion because this whole thing is I'm going to use the title as a bargaining chip for the bidding war of 2024. So I'm expecting at least a year-long run. And again, long title reigns seem to be kind of in vogue in wrestling right now if we look at what Roman's doing. Of course, Roman is a lot more credible on his worst day than MJF could ever be on his best day, but I digress. Yeah, Cole is an amazing way to go. And honestly, let's see. Darby Allin's TNT champion. If you want to build Cole up, I'd almost say get that fucking title off that little puke Darby and get it on Adam Cole
Speaking
somehow.
of Darby Allin, he defended the TNT the TNT championship last night on Rampage against Juice Robinson, and is now defending it this coming Wednesday on Dynamite against Kushida.
Yeah. Ew. Yeah, that's yeah.
God, you're perfect.
To be honest, I was listening to you, but I was also reading chat, and I'm being called out right now, not unjustifiably, mind you. I 95% deserve this for sure.
Yeah.
But gotta leave myself that little sliver of 5% to nibble the edges of. But yeah, no, that's hideous. That's actually hideous. Put a blue dot over that shit. When's Christian coming back? I miss Christian.
I miss Christian too. What the hell?
God, why was his theme song in WWE believe if you just close your eyes? Like, why close your eyes? Is this like
maybe
a
that's
subtle
Vince,
hint that Vince is like...
Vince thinks he's ugly. We already know that. That's probably why.
Well, no, I know, but it's like, I'm just now thinking about, like, my mind's kind of blown right now where Vince is like, all right, fine, you can have that theme, but we need to make it known, even subtly, that you're hideous. Now get out of my office.
I think it was a negotiation. Vince was like, we need to put a blue dot over this motherfucker, god damn it. And everyone was like, listen, Vince, there's no amount of technology that we can afford that can put a blue dot on his face, both live in person and on everyone's television. He's just like, fine, if we can't put a blue dot on his face physically, we need to at least warn people not to look when he's on the screen, damn it.
Either that or I'd love if it was some like morbid eureka moment where they're talking about Christian internally in the company and it's like fans are really getting behind him. I've been considering him for the main event. Yeah, I'd believe him as a main eventer if I just closed my eyes. And then they all look at each other and like, that's it. That's it. Oh, God.
Dude, isn't you believe if you? I thought it was you can see if you just close your eyes.
I mean, that's a whole other thing. Then
I
I don't even know
know.
how they would work that. I always thought it was believe if you just close. But anyway, regardless, the theme's awesome. Go listen to it, everybody. I probably will after this. Yeah. I'm really, you know what though, to get back to Adam Cole, I don't know how we went from Adam Cole to Christian. I guess when you talk about one Chad, you have to talk about them all. But yeah, happy for the dude. Really happy for the because he even said in the
Elite
promo,
light
right, that like
workers
he wasn't
flock
even sure if
together,
this
I
is
guess.
wait, what was that?
I
Oh,
said
birds of a feather, you
elite,
said?
elite mic workers flock together, I guess.
Okay. But yeah, he even said in the promo, right, about like he was really scared that the career was over because didn't doctors tell him something or some shit? So I'm happy for the dude. Good stuff. Good stuff.
He was
Um,
he went on this whole thing about how he had a long time where he didn't know what was wrong with him, and he would wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and just shoot out of bed and start pacing, and Britt would ask him what was wrong with him, and he would say, I don't know what's wrong with me. And it was story time with Adam Cole, baby. If you take time out of your day to watch Dominic Mysterio on Miz TV, take your time out of your day to watch this promo. Come on, it's good, man.
whoa. All right.
Yeah.
That was a fair call out.
Anyway,
No,
so
like,
we also got a pretty decent women's tag match. Jamie and Britt versus Saraya and Toni Storm. Now, I say pretty decent because I'm being generous, but at the end of the day, the booking was horrible, and the saving grace was Jamie Hayter, and that's about it. I will, you know what? I want to give credit to Toni Storm. Toni Storm was really good in this too. I don't give enough credit to Toni Storm because I'm just not that big into her, and she doesn't wow me in any ways. But she's a pro. She's a consummate professional. Saraya is really fucking sloppy still. Jamie's great. I fucking love Jamie, but even she was kind of sloppy in this match, especially when she was interacting with Saraya. But really, the problem with this match, bro, I don't know if you saw this. At a certain point in this match, everyone is on the outside, and we've got pairs. I think it was Jamie was paired up with Saraya, I want to say. And then we got, the Britt Tony's pairing, and then they're all beating each other up. And Hikaru Shida comes out, and I'm like, okay, things are about to pick up. But what does Shida actually do? Nothing until both Tony and Jamie are laid out in the middle of the ring. Now, let me paint this picture for you here, John. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Okay, so imagine we're looking at the ring from like the normal camera angle. Like we can see the crowd. The ramp is to the left. Where the announce desk would be, like for Raw, is to the right. And laying in the ring is Jamie Hayter, and she is at the back side of the ring with her feet on the left and her top is to the right. She's laying on her back. Toni Storm is also laying on her back, but her feet are facing Jamie, meaning the top half of her body is facing basically the camera. So she's like, almost out of the ring to the bottom half of the ring, right?
Right.
Shida throws the kendo stick in between them.
Okay.
So if you just think about the geography of the situation here, the geometry of it, she basically threw it to where Jamie's hand is and where Tony's feet were at the time.
Yeah.
Now, immediately you're like, oh, so she wants Jamie to get it. But as it turns out, not only did Jamie not get it, but Shida was flabbergasted that Tony didn't get it. Because when Britt Baker got in the ring, grabbed the kendo stick and whacked Toni Storm with it, and then Jamie was able to get, is it called Haterade, her version of the Rainmaker?
I think that actually sounds.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And win the match. Shida looked flabbergasted. She looked angry. She looked disappointed. She was like, oh shit, I fucked up. She could have literally handed the kendo stick to Tony. She was right fucking there. But she threw the kendo stick in between Tony and Jamie to the point that the easiest person that could have gotten it would have been Jamie. But even Jamie didn't get it because Britt came in and got it.
Yeah.
It just made no sense at all. It is nonsense booking. Tony Khan needs to hire a writer 3 fucking years ago.
Yes. why does this keep happening to us?
Us!
Like,
It's not happening to us. It's happening in wrestling in general. Fuck.
Yeah.
God, I miss
the business
Lucha
kind of sucks right
Underground.
now.
God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is hard, isn't it? When you're seeing the state of American wrestling and you're like, remember what we used to have and you just don't have it anymore? This is how boomers happen, man.
Remember the glory days of 2016. Oh.
Yeah, this is how boomers happen, man. This shit right here. Like, fuck. No wonder people romanticize the fucking past.
I know. I hate it.
But, yeah, see, and that's another thing, man. Like, even when they do good stuff, and Jamie as a champion is a great thing, not just a good thing. It's like, man, you can't expect her to do everything. Help her, for fuck's sake. God.
Oh, speaking of help her, you know how Athena is the Ring of Honor Women's Champion and she won that from Mercedes Martinez at Final Battle in December on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
Yes.
After that show, Tony Khan officially decided that Ring of Honor championships and Ring of Honor talents would no longer be as featured on television, on AEW television, and they were going to be basically sanctioned to AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation. And because of that, Yuka Sakazaki was at the fucking Dark Elevation taping, and she is going to be the next challenger for Athena's Ring of Honor Women's Championship, and we're not going to get to see it unless we tune into fucking YouTube.
See, like, how? Like, how do you do something that's so awesome, but yet package it in such a way and present it in such a way, being practically YouTube
That's
exclusive?
So asinine.
Exactly. It's like you render the whole thing moot. It's like Athena's facing Yuka. Oh my god. And it's YouTube exclusive. Oh, so that probably means we're only going to get like what, 8 minutes, maybe 10? Great. And even if they got time, it's like, oh, so you're really not going to be able to convert many people except the AEW diehards that are already that dialed in they know to look to YouTube in the first place? Great. Jesus Christ. Yes.
If that
what else to
sounded
talk
like
about?
A dying breath, that's because it was my soul leaving my body.
Yeah, Jesus, that's rough. What else do you want to talk about on the AEW front? Anything interesting? I keep hearing that Eddie Kingston might turn heel
because I'm just looking through my comments in the live wrestling discussion channel. Action Andretti cut a promo where he said that Sammy, referring to Sammy Guevara, can't even keep control over his own wife.
Please shoot me.
He's supposed to be the baby face, by the way. I should mention that.
You know. Okay. So this is nothing to do with wrestling, but I'm hopefully going to bring it back. I'm about to do a dangerous trek here. I might fall and break my neck. We'll see. I've been watching reviews, like satirical, critical, like obviously they're not positive, of Christian movies, mainly from the company PureFlix, which is like a propaganda center for Christian-based ideology.
Right.
And I watched the review of that one like touted abortion movie several years ago, Unplanned. That they're like, oh, it's too controversial, and everybody, even though it was like, no, it was a proper rating because there was a really bloody scene in it and all that shit. And like, I feel like the dialogue in that movie is on par with some AEW lines. Like the most famous line in that movie was they were comparing abortions at Planned Parenthood to the fries and soda of a fast food outlet. It's pretty much like, oh, that's how we make our money kind of thing. And it's like, God, the dialogue's so bad. And then you tell me these AEW promos that affirm the very same things as baby faces that like those Christian movies would affirm, like, oh yeah, you got to keep your woman in line. Oh yeah, of course patriarchy is great. Oh yeah, of course there's such a thing as a real man. And if you're outside of that framework, then you're just awful or a sissy or whatever. And it's like, what's the fucking difference? It's like, God, if I wanted to see promos of this quality with this kind of message and that person being positioned as the hero, I could literally just watch any Christian film. Jesus Christ, this is so bad. What the fuck? Of all the things you could make fun of Sammy for, like, I would have even accepted if you were like, you can't even control your own temper, because that would have implied like the backstage fights that he's gotten into. Would it have been the best line? Nah, whatever, but at least it relates to something. But controlling your wife, really? Really?
Because clearly agreeing to, love someone forever is equal to a legally binding agreement that you now control that person.
And like, what do you expect the heel to do in that situation? Because if they want to get heat in a healthy society, right? They would honestly entertain and be like, you know what, you're right. Ty, I'm so much smarter than you. I'm gonna make all of your decisions for you from now on. Get in the back, like right under the crowd, and then that would get heat. But apparently, in this context, it'd be like, well, no, I guess if being misogynist makes me a babyface, Ty, go in the back, make me a sandwich. I really don't think you should be out here. This is man's business. Like, no. What is so essentially my point being, because I know that just sounded ludicrous. It's like, what is the heel supposed to do with that? Because like, I feel like if you're a heel, you want to like reject what the babyface is saying about you, but you also want to get heat. So not only do you want to reject what's being imposed upon you, you want to take control of the verbal spar. How do you do that when you go for such ridiculous? I don't even like Sammy, but I'm focusing on the art of promos. Two wrestlers talking, the point of them talking, and it's like you ruin it. You ruin it when you act so fucking ridiculous. Oh my god. I hate this company so much. I honestly, I hate it so much that I think if I was still watching AEW, I would wish bad things on that company. And I never like to do that. That's like one of my rules, because obviously I want wrestlers to work, but God, this company is ass. Jesus Christ. So then, did Sammy like beat him down? What happened after that?
Oh no, it was a whole like big like promo off where the entire JAS were in the ring, and Ricky Starks and Action Andretti were at the top of the ramp, and it basically ended in Ricky Starks challenging specifically Jake Hager to some kind of match that I'm not even sure. Because it was.
I bet it involved his
hat.
fucking hat or some shit.
Yep.
Yeah. God damn it. Okay. Here's a question for you. Do we still have to be talking about this show anymore? Or was there anything else, or can we move on?
There's nothing else that I got to say about it. I got everything out of it. Dude, I love that. Like the most worked up by anything that you've been this entire time is this show, and you didn't even watch the damn thing.
I know, which I'm so grateful. Because God, like, would have really made me hate my life in that moment. Like, why am I expending it on this? Can you get refunds on time yet? Because I'll write a letter to Tony Khan to get mine right the fuck now. Yeah, so that was AEW. Wow, I really, besides great wrestling, which they kind of marred with post-match stuff or whatever fucking bullshit, it existed. AEW existed. Yeah. Congratulations, you existed. You did great. So yeah, I guess that is the week. So we already talked about Raw, SmackDown. We even touched a little bit on NXT. Well, I did with the whole rope break nonsense and wherever the hell that's gonna go. So yeah, I guess that's done. So did you watch anything outside of this week in the world of wrestling?
I don't think I did. No.
I think I did, but to be quite honest, I don't even really fully remember. I think it was just more like 2004, 2005 stuff.
Did you black out? Were you like? You had something, and then I brought up Sammy not being able to control his wife, and you just saw red and forgot everything else?
Yeah, that might have happened. Because I know I watched I watched some stuff, but again, I think
we didn't talk about this. On Rampage last night, did you see the women's tag match or any spots from it yet?
No.
Oh, it was Tay J, so Anna J and Ty Mello, aka Ty Conti, versus Willow Nightingale and Ruby Soho. And Ruby Soho was a bloody mess. And the finish of the match, I believe, was her hitting Ty with Destination Unknown onto some thumbtacks. But also, we had Willow Nightingale power bombing Anna J off of the ramp through a single table and missing the table almost completely.
I was really hoping we were done talking about AEW stuff, because
I'm
sounds
so
awful.
sorry. I just was scrolling and I found it. I just felt like I had to mention it.
That's really unfortunate for them and for me. For them, obviously, more so. Is everybody okay? Did any injury reports come out that anybody knows of? Because that sounds like a way you could fucking kill someone.
No, but People are posting the GIF online a lot and talking about how dangerous it looked, and people are really praising Anna Jay for tucking her chin as if that's not literally the first thing you learn on how to take a bump 101. But yeah, no, I think no real news to come out of it yet.
Wonderful, wonderful. See, I really didn't watch anything either. So we can get, I guess, to Q&A because we still got a healthy membership for this series. We got 6 people watching now. So guys, if you have questions about this week in the world of wrestling, I guess
Ask away.
really we can even start with Foster's question because he technically asked one. He said, "Did you guys talk about the Jay White news at all last week or this week?" So
Is there more news?
what's the latest, Foster? If you could give us like cliff
The only
notes
Jay
of
White
it.
news that I'm aware of is that his contract is expiring soon. He's in a loser leaves Japan match with Hikuleo soon, but also Hikuleo is allegedly going to have his contract coming up soon, and WWE wants him. So, like, either one of them could lose and then go elsewhere, or either one of them. We had this discussion relatively recently, and I basically just said, I don't know what's going to happen, so I don't want to talk about it.
That's fair. Then I guess, unless anything new unless anything new really comes out, we'll just stick to that. We'll just stick to that line. No, Foster, never apologize, bud. Like, believe me, I don't even remember what we talk about half the time, even like last week. So you never have to feel bad for asking questions if you weren't here, or maybe you just don't remember our answer. It's never a problem. But yeah,
You know what?
look, I'll
This
just
is
say,
actually good. I'm glad that Alex asked the follow up to this because he said about WWE maybe being confident about getting him. Let me ask you, John. If this is all hypothetical, let's suppose that we live in a world where WWE would rather have Jay White than Hikuleo, which immediately I have a hard time believing. But let's just suppose that we live in that world, right? WWE wants Jay White. Jay loses to Hikuleo in the loser leaves Japan match. New Japan re-signs Hikuleo and he continues working for them. Jay White leaves, signs with WWE. How do you think the WWE would treat the signing of Jay White? How would they handle it, in your opinion?
this may be an ignorant and ridiculous take, but it's just what I feel most immediately. Whereas I still don't get the Bandito signing, I feel like with Jay White, they would treat him very similarly to AJ Styles in his first year, where they wouldn't put him in the main event scene right away. Like a Rumble or a big debut like that would be a big deal for him initially. Then they'd have him work with some upper mid-card guy. It's a shame that I don't really know who fills the Jericho role in the company because that's who that was for Styles. Maybe it would be AJ in that case. I don't know. But then, yeah, after he does that, maybe he gets a one-off world title shot just to really test the waters about how he does in that scene, in that picture, especially if the titles have been separated. So it could either be Cody versus Roman, Sammy versus Roman, or whoever Roman drops one or both of the titles to, because that's still a bit ambiguous itself. And yeah, so I could see it being very similar to first year AJ Styles, and then after that, I don't know, because they're not the same people, so I can't say it would be exactly the same. But yeah, I think that's as far as I'll go. For just year one, I could see it being very similar to AJ Styles' first year. So.
Interesting. So you think that they would treat him as big of a deal as they treated AJ?
Yeah, in the beginning, yeah. And then I don't know like how that will branch off. But yeah.
Okay. See, the thing, like, part of me feels like they would sign him and then he would still have an NXT run. Like, I have this, like, I guess in my mind, what has Jay White done on a profile high enough to merit the AJ Styles treatment is kind of where my mind goes.
It's fair. Because I think even when AJ was leader of Bullet Club was hotter than it is now.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's obviously been IWGP World Champion. He main evented Madison Square Garden with Okada, but like he didn't even win that match.
Right.
So like even in kayfabe, it's like, where's the value? But I don't know, man. I still feel like just with his look and everything else, I feel like they wouldn't want to waste time with him in
Okay.
NXT. Again, that could be a very ignorant take by me. I
Part of me
accept
also
that.
thinks they would
I
want him to
just-
change
yeah.
his look because he already looks too much like Seth and Roman and, you know, that whole, you know, Elias even. Like, the basic long, dark hair with a dark goatee and beard look is something that is very common in WWE. They might want him to change that.
Yeah, and I mean at that point, bro, if I'm Jay White, I'm like, you know, are the optics even good for me to go into that company right now?
Yeah.
Because when I look at the guys that are on top and everything, it's like, can I even eat? You know, at the level that I know I should be eating at? Because Jay is a real to me, if we're talking in ring and just as a performer, not necessarily their fanfare right now, but just as a performer, he's a hot commodity. Dude is very well put together. But again, I think when you already have your Seths and your Romans, how do you stand out? And then the bigger question, I don't think it's often enough, is how do I stand out in a way that's still conducive and comfortable to my interests? Because you can stand out, but it may come at too much of a personal price. And I don't know. That's got to be for Jay to kind of negotiate with himself. If he's even going to be picked up, which I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's felt like he's done all he can do in Japan and he's tired of being a gaijin and he wants to go to the US and, you know, just kind of do that whole thing.
Personally, I think Jay's just beating Hikuleo. I think Hikuleo is the one that's going to sign with WWE and go through NXT. And hey, he might even be a big star for them. He might even end up in the Bloodline. That would be really good for him. Be cool for him. I'd be very happy for him.
It's worked out really well for Solo, I gotta say.
Yeah.
If you just want to stick him with the more experienced vets
Yeah.
and have him ride with them, like he'll learn real quick.
Absolutely.
Foster did ask a follow-up question. I don't know, Javaris, if you meant your question to be sincere, because he did ask, why does American wrestling suck so hard? Literally, I feel like every episode of our podcast anymore where we talk about American wrestling pretty much answers that question. So you already know how we feel, bro. But Foster did ask, okay, I have a better question. Who should run Bullet Club if Jay White gets kicked? Someone currently in the group or maybe bringing in someone new. Here's the thing, Foster, you'd have to bring in someone new because I don't like the picks that you'd have with people in the group. And I'm just afraid that Evil would usurp the whole thing and it would be like Evil Club. And then it would just be totally in the fucking toilet if it isn't already. And you should just kill the damn faction.
What about Kenta?
But that's an interesting. Kenta would be interesting. I don't see it personally because I don't know if New Japan sees it and I'm trying to be as realistic as possible with Foster's question. But if I could have it my way, Kenta would absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I didn't really think about that. Yeah, Kenta would be fantastic.
That's pretty much my answer. Kenta's my favorite pick.
Yeah, by far. All right. Any other questions? We'll let that linger for a bit because I know there's a disparity between us saying something and chat receiving it. ELP. I mean, stranger things have happened, Foster. I could definitely.
I would just love
Definitely
it if
happen.
Kenta became the leader of the Bullet Club and everyone's like, oh man, the first actual Japanese leader of the Bullet Club, but then he just cuts all the promos in English anyway.
Dude, that's genius. That's honestly genius. Yeah, can New Japan cut you a check? I might start watching again.
If only, if only.
But yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm just ready to move on to high spots, low shots then. My low shot, I'm gonna say Sami Zayn. He got cheated out of his opportunity, you know, to build his profile in the bloodline, and in his mind, prove himself to Roman because the Usos and Solo Sikoa rushed the ring and cheated him of that chance. I'm gonna say Sami Zayn for my low shot.
I think for now, I am going to say Konosuke Takeshita. Because even though he had a great
I like that.
showing, he got upstaged by MJF. He got insulted by MJF. He got fucking racist attacked by MJF. And then he lost to Danielson. And he got no means of any kind of catharsis whatsoever.
Yeah, you know, I had read a report recently that AEW internally wanted to make Takeshita a top star. That ain't it. That's not how you do it at all.
They're clearly building sympathy for him. Like, they're turning him into a babyface that people want to see win. But, like, just on this night, he had a shitty night. You know what I mean?
Now, here's the thing, and I don't want to be combative about this because everything you said is 100% right, for sure. My concern about a company like AEW, yes, sympathy matters, but I think also we have to qualify what that sympathy is and where its roots are. And then depending on that, you've got to have a payoff that correlates with that, that's proper to that. So, for example, And really what I'm essentially saying in simpler terms is I pray to God that we learn something from Booker T versus Triple H. Because if a wrestling character is being racist to a black, Asian, whatever performer, that performer as the babyface, because racism will always be a heel fucking thing, or at least it should be, okay? Because I don't know what some wrestling companies anymore. I could see Control Your Narrative if they were still around, kind of arching an eyebrow. That character in turn or that performer should beat the racist sass every time. Every time. Because even if you like let it happen one time, it's like, oh, guess racism prevails. And like that already happens enough in the real world. I think we're supposed to challenge dominant kind of narratives with art and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really hoping that Takeshita gets some kind of worthwhile payoff. Because if people are already being racist to him, I don't know how long I tolerate that. Like it's just let's hope the payoff's good. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, high spot. This is gonna be interesting. You know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm already infected. I already got called out in the chat. I might as well complete the circle. If I started drawing it, I'll finish it. Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. They won tag team turmoil. They're getting a shot at the Usos, and this was all after Dominic got out of prison.
I didn't even
after
know
big
that
leaguing
Dom
his
was
cellmate.
part of tag team turmoil. I thought it was still just Priest and Balor. What?
Well, it was, but then at a certain point, Balor, I don't know if it was in kayfabe or what, he got hurt, but he was still like not on commentary, but at ringside. And then Dom took his place, and then they finished tag team turmoil last beating the Street Profits.
Wow.
So yeah, after getting out of prison, he's hardened up so much, he's already beating top tag teams, and now he's going to challenge for the Usos. So Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest are my high spot.
Damn.
I am going to finish that circle, so that's what I'm going with. Who's your high spot?
Let's see. This is a really tough one, honestly. I am going to say my high spot. Mina Shirakawa for Stardom, because I think Club Venus is undefeated so far.
Well, they did lose that one Triangle Derby match. I think, was it to Prominence? They lost a match recently. I even said that I'm glad they got their first loss out of the way early. Who was it to?
That was last week, dude. I'm pretty sure that was it was either last week or it was Monday.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of challenge it because they're not necessarily undefeated. They might be undefeated this week, but I know that they've had a loss as a team. So yeah. But Mina's still doing great though. So you said Mina Shirakawa specifically, so that's still valid. She's still killing it, dude. So yeah. God, I love it.
Plus, she's like arguably the most interesting thing in Stardom right now. So yeah, it's just Mina for me.
Dude, she's gonna break Tam's heart so bad. It's gonna be so bad.
Oh, it's gonna be glorious, is what it's gonna be.
God, Tam's gonna come from like, wow, it really hurt to have to cut out Waka, but now I'll be stronger than ever, right, guys? And then Mina's like, oh no, since you don't know me at all, I've practically been cheating on you the last couple months. This is my other faction called Venus. We're bouncing. I'm gonna win the white belt and have a better reign than you ever did. So suck on that, Tamantha. Yeah, there's a podcast I listen to. These guys are crazy about me. Picked the name up, thought it was great. So yeah, have fun sucking at life.
God,
By the way, Julia was always better than you. Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, to ground it, to just really ground that fucking plane. Yeah, Mina just looks so done with the faction that I cannot wait to see what's next for her, and I love that you picked her, and I love that
she is slowly becoming one of my favorite ring announcers in the world of wrestling today.
Yes! Oh, God, I really do. I love her. I love her so much. Her story, I'm telling you, if you're an aspiring wrestler, especially, and I hate to take it to this place, but really, if you are an aspiring women's wrestler, like, follow her lead, man, because you can have it all. Because she's a model and a great wrestler. I promise you can be great at both. You can be great at both. It's like, man, I really do hope. We always talk about the women that are going to inspire a generation. I feel like Sasha's already done it. Bailey's already done it. Mayu has done it, I'm sure. I hope Mina inspires a few people. I think her work has been at that level, honestly.
Bro, Zaya Brookside is like a great example because like Mina Shirakawa got into wrestling late. Like I think she started wrestling at like 30-ish, like 30 years old. And so like, and she was a former model and all that shit. And you're like, oh, models who get into wrestling late, she's never gonna be any good. And yet she's literally out there out wrestling Zaya Brookside, who is the exact opposite. Zaya started wrestling at like 17 years old, maybe even 16, and yet Mina's out here outworking her.
Yeah, yeah. Telling you, she's just so good. I will never apologize, and I will never feel like it's a minute wasted. And thankfully, nobody is telling me it is, and nobody's asking me to. You guys are all wonderful, but I will never feel bad or feel apologetic about giving time talking about how wonderful this woman is every time, because she, when I tell you, and this isn't even hyperbole for me, she fundamentally changed my perception about pro wrestlers and about my tolerance for them and where I put the bar for a lot of them. It's like, no, now I am putting the bar higher. She literally raised my bar, and that's as big a
She
compliment as
made
I
you
could give.
believe that there were better things to be had.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, because I think for so long, like, to circle back to Javaris's joke question of like, why does American wrestling fucking suck? One detrimental effect, I think that has, even if it happens subconsciously, is like it does make you kind of lower the bar a bit. This way, when you see something that, yeah, it's definitely good, but maybe not amazing, that it's like, oh man, this is so good because everything else just sucks. But when you're watching somebody that's already fantastic, or watching something, I should say, like Stardom, that's already fantastic, and then somebody like Mina comes along and challenges your conceptions, and your attitudes and this and that. It's like, yeah, this woman's a force. I really cannot wait for the rematch between her and Kamitani. In fact, if we're talking about wrestling matches in general, um, that's my most anticipated match in wrestling right now is Kamitani Shirakawa. I guess 3 at this point, because it would be, they had the 5-star match and the Wonder match, and then this would be the rematch.
Oh yeah, good
So
point.
yeah, I'm one of the best trilogies I've been a part of, and actually I'm getting spoiled because I love that trilogy, and Kevin and Roman are about to complete their trilogy of Rumble matches in a few weeks. So yeah, good shit, good shit.
Nice.
Anything else you want to say, my dear friend?
Did you
Before
see
we
the image that Foster just posted in wrestling discussion on the Discord?
No, but I will check that out now
Okay, so
because
here's this
Foster is
tournament that's
beautiful.
going on for the SmackDown Tag Titles. We've got Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus the Viking Raiders, which we already knew was happening. Ridge Holland and Butch versus Imperium. Angel and Umberto. So, what's their name again? They have a name. Los Lotharios, that's
Uh,
what it is.
yeah,
Versus Mansois and Marseille. So, Maxim male models or whatever it is. And then Legado del Fantasma versus Hit Row. And obviously, if it's a tournament, then the winners of those matches will face each other, and then the winner of those matches will face each other, and the winners of the tournament face the Usos at the Royal Rumble for the SmackDown Tag Titles. So hopefully, that also means that Roman's going to be like, oh, you guys can defend your titles differently? I want to defend my titles differently too.
yes, agreed on the last part. I will just say out of a knee-jerk reaction, since Hit Row clearly turned heel and Legado seems to be babyface then in this equation, I'll go with Legado to win this tournament. I'd love Legado Usos at Rumble. I think Drew Sheamus is way too obvious of a pick. It's either going to be Ridge Holland and Butch for a rematch because I know they've already faced the Usos, or just LDF for a fresh matchup, and I'm just hoping for LDF all the way.
I'm not picking anyone. I don't know. I have no clue.
That's fine. That's fine. This is no pressure, man. But yeah, that's just what I'm going to go with. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but I don't really feel like anybody did anything. So like, I don't know what to do. Oh my god, get it together. It's okay. We're all gonna live.
I'm not hyperventilating. You're hyperventilating.
I mean, true, but fuck. All right. Um, so I guess that was it. So I guess we can get out of here. Thank you guys very much for joining us this week. Very much appreciated. So leave a like as you file out, click the bell icon, subscribe, notifications so you don't miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. And you still don't have the schedule up, right, for January?
Oh
Or do
no,
you?
yeah, no, I should probably work on that, huh?
Yeah, that would help.
Fuck.
Do you know what we have coming up next here?
Let me open up our Stardom schedule because we don't have anything other than Stardom. This coming week. We have Triangle Derby day 5, but that just happened today.
Right.
So we'll probably end up just doing that Wednesday, honestly.
Okay.
So I'm guessing we're going to do Stardom Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and nothing before that. That would be my best guess.
All right. Well, then we'll see you Wednesday for Stardom, everybody. Hope that all works out. And of course, for Discord members, you can tune in 8 on the Discord for games while Raw is in progress. And yeah, I'm kind of hankering for some hide
Oh,
and seek Among Us. So let's hope that
dude,
happens this
no, I
Monday.
will say though, something noteworthy. You know that Stardom Awards show that we're going to be getting? That I think is that when the Naniwa tournament is going to be happening.
I'm not sure. I know that's
No,
when the
that's when the
Julia Gauntlet thing is
yeah,
happening.
that's when the Julia 10-seat 3-minute match thing is going to be happening. Plus, that's also when we're going to be getting Sore defending the future title against Sakurai, and we've got a few Triangle Derby matches set for that show. So if that show is a pay-per-view, it's going to be happening Friday night for us at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So we could 100% live react to that as it happens if it's a pay-per-view.
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah.
We'll know if it's a pay-per-view because if we go on Stardom's Twitter and they have like that like
PIA.
website that PIA website, to sell tickets. Yeah, if they don't, then we know that it was just a Stardom show. But yeah, if it's pay-per-view, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because then that should get out no later than 2, I would think, and that's pretty healthy time to get out. So yeah, I'm cool with that.
Oh, dude, no, it's a smaller card. It's only like I think 5 or 6 matches, but one of the matches is guaranteed to be 30 minutes because it's the Julia 10-match trial thing.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll play by ear, man. See how it goes. So yeah, you guys know when to tune in. And thank you again so much, guys, for joining us. Have a great weekend. Hey, if you're into media and you keep your finger on the pulse, The Last of Us on HBO Max debuting tomorrow. I can't wait to watch it with Ashton. I'll be getting on with him to watch it. Seems like it's going to be a great video game adaptation, which is nice. And so, yeah, hope anybody that's into that enjoys that. Again, I know Ash and I are currently watching Chainsaw Man, so if anybody's into that, hope you're enjoying that as well, because I know I sure as hell am.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, just enjoy your weekend, guys. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and until you meet us again, tune in, and peace out.